Greetings, everyone, to Macro Social Work Stories, where we're able to live the lived experience of social workers around our nation and our globe. Today, we have some wonderful guests here, a group, Black Lives Matter Collective, a movement, some students and researchers who are going to share with us some emphasis on the projects they worked on over the last year. And so, again, welcome to Macro Social Work Stories. We're going to go around the virtual space and have our guests tell us who they are and one fun fact. We're going to start with King Shaw. You can tell us who you are at this time and one fun fact.
Um, sorry, me and my sister both have that last name, so we weren't sure.
Okay, sorry, I apologize.
I can go, then she can go, I guess.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Sam Kingshaw. I use she and they pronouns, and I guess a fun fact about me is I just moved to New York in August. Buffalo, New York. I like to say New York because people think I mean the city, but so that's my fun fact.
All right, New York. Welcome.
For a PhD program, Sam.
Okay,
You better
all
emphasize
right.
that part.
Yes, scholar. Welcome. You said your sister is on as well?
Yes, hello. I'm Natalie. I use she, her pronouns.
Okay.
And I don't know. My fun fact is that I'm Samantha's little sister, I guess. I could not think of one, especially because I don't know. I was like, am I going to say the same thing as Samantha? Clearly not, because I don't live in Buffalo. But excited to be here.
Welcome. Yeah, so we're going to go to Miss Melanie.
Hello, my name is Melanie. I'm in Los Angeles right now. Maybe that's my fun fact. This is
Okay.
I'm having a hard time also with a fun fact. I have a dog. That's fun.
Okay. All right.
What's your
Welcome.
dog's name?
His name is Tucker. He's a hound dog, so he howls a lot.
Yeah.
All these new fun facts rolling off your
Yes.
rolling out there,
yes.
Melanie.
Yes. We're gonna Dominique.
Morning, everyone. Dominique. I'm also in Los Angeles with Melanie. I'm PhD candidate at UCLA. And my fun fact, I'll go with Melanie with the animal fun fact. I have a cat named Maya that bullies me every morning. And my fun fact is like she just bursts in the bathroom anytime she wants. So that's my fun fact for today.
Yes. Liberation. Just burst anytime they get ready to. Yes, thank you. Alexia, am I saying it correctly?
Yes, Alexia. Hi, my name is Alexia, but I go by Lexo. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I guess a fun fact is I've been to Ghana, West Africa a couple times, and I love it every time.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to our show. And then we have Brianna.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brianna. A fun fact about me is that I work for Apple.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yes. That discount. You get discounts.
Yes, I got y'all.
All right. Welcome. And last but not least, Barton.
Hi guys, my name's Khalees. I'm not prepared with the fun fact, I will say.
Okay.
I guess my current fun fact is I'm going into my 5th year of playing collegiate soccer, so figuring that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. An athlete.
That's a fun fact.
Yes, the well-being. Well-being is very important as the mental health in their process. And so I have my colleague, Mr. Steve, and we just wanted to invite you here on today to learn more about your project. And so, can someone share with me how this whole movement, collective, even began? Anyone can share. What was the spark, the catalyst for this project?
Nat, go ahead.
Okay, yes, I can share. So I'll try to condense it. I always get super excited telling this story. But essentially, in the summer of 2020, it was like the beginning of the pandemic. So I was home for the summer. A lot of things were happening, as we all know. And I felt just really frustrated with a lot of the responses to George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor, of people just really acting like it was new and acting very surprised. And I also just felt a lot of pain and frustration, and especially since everything was virtual, like for the first time, I was just really searching for an outlet and a way to heal that could be done virtually. And then really, I'm all about like fate and everything. And I do feel like in a moment of fate, I ended up through a mutual connection going to a Photovoice exhibit that Melanie worked on with mother activists who were sharing their experiences as mothers of children with medical complexities. And I had never heard of Photovoice before. And when I saw their exhibit, I just thought it was such a beautiful way to share perspectives and to build community and really just create change and so much healing. So I thought about ways that we could replicate that and create a project that really centered the experiences of Black students, Black people, because there's so many different things that go into our daily lives, and it's not just when our lives are taken from us, and that people should pay attention and want to be allies and help just support us, and for within our community for us to find healing. So essentially, I reached out to Melanie, and I also talked to Samantha, who she can definitely share how we continue to build the project. But like I said, Samantha's my older sister, and we just always had really great conversations about race and the ways our different identities created different and similar experiences. So once I started thinking about the project, I talked to her and we started to build the vision.
Yes. And so once the vision to bring community together, and you were exposed to a technique called Photovoice. For those who may not be familiar with Photovoice, can someone share with us how Photovoice can bring and spotlight the lived experience of individuals?
Yeah, so Photovoice is a research methodology. So it's a participatory action research methodology that is used to create, to elicit social action. So the goal of Photovoice is to highlight challenges as well as strengths that community researchers or co-researchers identify and can then convey that message in a powerful and meaningful way to an audience, a selected audience, in order to elicit social action.
Yes. So you highlighted it highlights challenges and strengths. So it's a balanced perspective.
Yes.
And so many times
Yes,
research
yes.
data generally look at deficits. But when we look at
Mhm.
communities and organizations and communities, they have assets, the things that they're building upon that we need to see how we can partner with them rather than trying to save them in that
Mhm.
process. So I like the perspective of Photovoice. And building community. Can someone share how this project helped build community?
I can take that one if that's okay.
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
I know someone else might be able to speak more into this, but I do want to. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'll just throw in my little tidbit. So I feel like this built a community
No,
around.
go. I think my internet lagged a little. Go ahead.
Okay. So I feel like it built a community between just Black women and being in college. And honestly, it didn't mean to start out that way. You know, Natalie, when she brought it to our class, she did open the floor to everybody, but it just so happened that we were all female. So I feel like that really built a strong community between us. And we kind of just had a sense of understanding, realizing that we go through the same exact experiences on a day-to-day basis, no matter where the campus is.
Yes. So the call went out. The call went out, and so a group collected, and when you looked around the room, you all were Black women. Black women. When we look at our history in America or the world, Black women. One of my sheroes, Fan Lou Hamer, who really inspired me to let me know I'm from Mississippi, and so when you hear that state, you don't really think about positive things. But when you hear about Fan Lou Hamer, Ida B. Wells, all those individuals are why we're here today. And so Black women really are the foundation. really provide structure, and they look at race and gender when they look at social issues. So thank you all for continuing the long legacy of Black women in our nation. So the community was built, the call went out, and so over the summer we saw all of this loss of life. But you all want to share a wider experience. Prior to someone losing their life, what is it like being Black in America? What is it like with your gender or sexual orientation? Can someone share how this project brought light to that? I'll pick on someone, Miss Dominique.
Yeah, I can start, and I think that for me, one of the really unique things about this group is that they were able to focus on part of the Black experience that I think is really often ignored. When we talk about like success and in America, we talk about going to college and having these amazing experiences. But when we talk about Black Americans and Black women, we know that they're going to college at higher rates now, and we think of this as a really positive thing. But I think in our group, we were able to really critique some of the experiences that Black young women were having on college campuses, particularly in this moment where a lot of college campuses were saying, okay, we're going to focus on anti-Blackness, but didn't have structural ways to do that. So it really ended up, I think, being a large burden on Black women in these spaces to have to educate their white peers and their white professors and their white staff members and their white administrators on how to actually treat Black women with humanity at this time. And I think this project really shows how Black young women are navigating these really challenging spaces that aren't made for them, and are thriving in those spaces in spite of not having support in those spaces. And I think that that's something that's really important to know about Black women who in academia, in educational institutions, that their success has nothing to do with being supported in those institutions. It's in spite of lack of support, discrimination, and oppression that they experience in those spaces.
Yes, in spite of.
You're onto something really important, which is I think every school, I mean, except for Melanie and Gary, none of you know me. I've been an anti-racist educator, white educator, obviously, since I was 22. I'm a little older now. And I've heard white educators forever say they want to do stuff about this. They changed the words, but it was always about the same thing. We're going to make it different. And yet, lo and behold, what you're speaking to is certain obstacles seem to appear. Certain things still seem to be in the structures. I heard many of you already mention every day something in the lived experience was like a little bit something other than a happy moment. So, what do you think, given that white people in general think they're always doing stuff about this? What are the fundamental things that we white people have to take on if we're to really not put the burden on you? What does that really look like that we have to do? Um, Using education as an arena. I mean, that's the arena we're in. But if we can do it in education, maybe we can then do it elsewhere as well. So, but we have to pick this up, and yet these obstacles and these burdens that are placed upon, in this case, women of color, but forever people of color in academia, in my experiences, have forever been there. So we have to take these up. So I'd love to hear from you. What are those things that, if I'm to go back and talk to other white people about this, what message do you want me to carry without, don't feel you have to give me the emotional burden part. Just tell me what needs to be done, because I don't want you to do that. I don't think I need it. But I do want to carry the right messages back.
I think that there's a lot of things that I'm sure that other people would have things to add. I think that the main one that comes to mind for me immediately is like consistency. As Natalie said, like this project was like sparked kind of in a moment of crisis, like nationally, and like looking for like healing. But I think that like consistency, like we're Black every day, not just when someone is like publicly executed by a cop. So I think that a commitment to working on this stuff like every day, not just when like things are very visible, which I think is unfortunately what happens a lot. Something really visible will happen. People are like suddenly really committed to anti-racist activism or praxis or whatever. And then, you know, like the news kind of moves on and people's investment kind of drops off. And like a big thing that was highlighted, I think, in this project is like the really like invasive everyday nature of a lot of this stuff, which means that we need people to be like working as allies, like engaging in allyship every day, not just when things get really heightened visibly. So
Thanks.
So as we look at the lived experiences, how long was this project? Over a year, 2 years, and you all were able to complete a symposium where you did invited individuals to hear the experiences. So share how that was for those who, so some of the feedback you received, because individuals are able to see that symposium online, and so we'll share that with them at the end of the conclusion. So share with us some of the feedback you all received.
I can speak a bit on this. I think I personally received a lot of very good feedback and really like heartening feedback. And I guess I feel like not maybe, I don't know, maybe this was me personally. I don't know if we all expected such an overwhelming amount of just like feedback and support. I especially in particular had some professors join in on our live actual like project and our presentation of our Photovoice project. And so that was really just kind of eye-opening to me to again see people really go out of their way to hear my story and hear my peers' stories. And I think again, kind of as Brianna mentioned, like it ended up being this empowering women group that we didn't even know that we really formed. And so to have such our tight knit community, we were feeling good about it no matter what. I don't think we really cared if one person came or 100 people came, but we were just there was so much work that went into it inside and out. And so I think just, and like Natalie said, just getting that chance to like talk and like heal and help each other out. It was like healing without even knowing that we were healing and helping each other in that way. I mean, I know for me personally, I didn't, when Sam reached out to me, I was like, yeah, like I'm sure I can make time somehow to do this. Like it's whatever. I'm just thinking like some meetings, like maybe some research, like I don't know what I'm getting myself into. And I'm like, no, this is my like Wednesday night happy hour. It feels like sometimes like we're just chatting it up at sometimes. And so then to see that all come together and really move people and really move like my family members that were able to join and my peers, like I said, I mean, I had teammates from around the world watching. And so I think just the reaction and the response was really powerful because for us, it felt like such natural conversations. And yeah, there were very vulnerable moments that we had to speak on and that were hard to speak on at certain points. But again, it's our everyday experiences. And so it is somewhat easy to talk about. And for other outside peers that were listening into our stories, it was like, I remember still getting reactions like, wow, like, wow, this is what you guys were sharing. It was just such an incredible, like, you guys are so resilient and so incredible. And I was just like, thank you. I appreciate that. But it's also just like, yeah, that's just our everyday lives. It's just a group of girls that some of us have never even met before in real life. And here we are. I'm like, yeah, I know this, and this about them. Like, this is our everyday experiences. And so I think that was pretty incredible too, just to receive that feedback and like, I guess shock almost. It's kind of like bittersweet because it's like, yeah, we shouldn't have to shock you this much and shouldn't have to go out of your way to understand what we go through, but also like, thank you for taking the time to listen and hopefully open up your eyes a little bit to what especially like college women of color in college are going through as well. So I thought that was we got a lot of good feedback for sure.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Do you think administration learned anything? Talk is cheap on this stuff, right? Everybody loves to say they thank you for sharing, but what they get from it.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know if I can speak to my personal administration. I don't know about SDSU. I know there's a stronger crowd there for them. I think personally, I had some teachers, like I said, join, and I think it did ignite some conversations with these teachers within their communities and their classrooms. And I've seen her take some change and just opening up and being a little bit more vulnerable when it comes to listening. And I've seen her do that instead of just, I think she realized she was very complacent and comfortable and wasn't necessarily not supporting or not doing something, but she wasn't going out of her way to ignite those conversations or show support. But in terms of, and that was one of my undergrad professors, but in terms of administration, I would say no on my standpoint, if I'm being honest.
Okay. Okay.
Appreciate that.
And so, as you all, so you all from different universities? I didn't know that nugget. That's a very vital nugget.
Yeah,
Important
that
nugget. So,
is.
different universities across the nation, who came together around a collective area. Yeah. So, thank you. I wish I would have. Yes, very very important nugget. And so when you went home, or I guess you may were home because it was virtual. How did your family and your community feel about the project?
I feel like I can speak to this. My family was really, really proud, and not in a shocked way, but just in a I don't normally get to see the side of you way. And having that response from them really did, it felt special. I feel like that's the best place to put it.
Mm.
It felt really special to get that response from them. And I feel like at that point, they kind of looked at me like, yeah, like you really created a name for yourself at this point. Like it was a really rewarding experience.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else care to share?
By the way, where are you all from if you're at different schools? Because I was like, Gary, I thought you were all from UCLA.
So just because I was the last one speaking, I'm over at San Diego State University.
And we have Buffalo in the room now. Although were you all, where are the rest of you from?
Me and Khalees are both at WSU now. I've graduated, so I'm doing grad school in Buffalo. And so Natalie, Lexo, and Brie, I don't know why I'm speaking for all of you, are at SDSU, and we ended up doing that because when Natalie and I were starting, we were like, oh, let's just do it like at our two schools, which was an interesting like kind of comparison, I guess, because WSU is like in a rural spot, and then SDSU is obviously like quite in like the middle of the city.
Could you
So
say
like
what the
getting
initials? Could you say what the initials are for our audience?
Oh yeah, WSU, Washington State, and then SDSU, San Diego State University. I hope
Thank
that
you.
that's right. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Okay. So the West Coast, the West Coast.
Yeah,
Now,
North
now
and
the
South
now
West
the East
Coast.
Coast.
And a little
Now
bit
the
of
East Coast.
Buffalo.
Yes, the East Coast has come a part of the project. And so, if there were things you could do differently, or things you would add to the collective, what would you do? What would you recommend to the next generation who plan to take on upon the mantle? Anything you would add?
I could take that one a little bit. I would say that I think what this project has really taught me is that while there's so many similarities in our experiences, like we've talked about, there's also so many areas where we're different and where the different pieces of our identity really create a unique way that we move throughout the world, and that all of our past experiences combine to just create the versions of ourselves that are sitting here today. So I think that it's been really cool just to have the space to talk about the experiences that are so often invalidated. I definitely wish, at least like for me, I think about a lot the healing that I've been able to find through this project, and that I wish it didn't take me until I was 19 to find that, and like to find that just like sense of belonging and like understanding of my identity. And then also I think obviously, like we said, like we our collective ended up being a group of Black women, so it definitely shows a certain experience. It definitely is an experience that like we've had as women who are lighter skinned. So I think that that's also really important to acknowledge. And I think just all the different pieces of identity that like every Black person, I think, should just have a space where they can share and be validated in their story. So I would definitely say it will never be representative of the Black community unless like every single Black person in the world share, you know, their story, which obviously would be a huge thing. But I think that's really what I've learned a lot from this project, that we all have such unique experiences that deserve to be validated, because you can't just look at somebody and understand everything that's combining to create their experience.
Yes.
If I could add to this, and I wouldn't say it's something that I would do differently, but I think it's like, if I think about the future of this work, I think that these young women are brilliant. And I think that finding more ways to share their work and share their insights, both within their universities and outside of it, is something that I think Melanie and I have, continued thinking about, and just trying to figure out, like, that action part of Photovoice is really important, and thinking about how can we create the momentum around all of these amazing experiences and insights that these young women have about how institutions can do better. And I know that different folks that are part of this group are working on or exploring different options to expand this work, and to build it up. But I think that that's always something you're thinking about is how do we keep building upon this knowledge, and these experts in the room, they know exactly what higher education institutions should do. And, at the end of the Photovoice project, they came up with recommendations, and just thinking about how do we get those in the right people's hands so that they understand the type of change they need to make. And I know people in this room are still doing that activism work on their campuses every day, and trying to work with administrators, trying to work with leadership. So it's, that's the long part of this work too. Particularly a shout out to Lexa, who's doing a lot of that work at SDSU.
Okay.
Lexa, it would be great to hear from you.
Thank you. So yes, I will say, just to talk a bit about the project, but my before and after, I will say, in no exaggeration, I would say it was definitely a transformation for me. I will say I was definitely in a rut of where, like, my whole world is falling apart. Every time I open social media, Black person's getting killed by cops, and I have no idea what to do about it, and I feel useless. So by joining the project, I was able to, like, channel my anger, my frustration, and my sadness into activism, which I feel like, I know molded me into who I am today 100%. So from doing this work, I was definitely motivated, like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do with my life. I want to, speak out. I want to help change the systems. This is what I want to do. So I really, it really motivated me to run for something called Board of Directors of our student leadership on our campus. So through that, I'm able to work on a lot of different protocols with the school, from a student perspective, where I'm able to let them know, like, hey, we can't just be sending, emails about X, Y, and Z about the school when Breonna Taylor was just shot and killed, for no reason. We have to acknowledge that these things affect our everyday lives, and we can't just walk over it. So I've been really lucky that my administration has been so open to hearing what I have to say, and then also including me in, I'm included in 2 protocols now, where one of them is how the school can respond to worldwide issues. Basically, it's a protocol I created, explaining that these outside issues, and injustices really do have a negative effect on us and have a negative impact on us and our academia. So that was one protocol that I got to
Mhm.
create. And then I get to work on a second protocol related to anti-bias, because, in higher education, the freedom of speech clause and all that stuff, it's really hard to get teachers fired no matter how much they might deserve it. So at least having some way of addressing that, hey, this is hurting our students and we need to say something and let them know that we support them. So I've really just taken what I've learned here and just tried to advocate for it on my campus.
Wow, and
Yeah.
both of those are structural issues, not just procedure where people do it one time and go home. If it's embedded in the structure, it happens forever. So that's amazing. That's really wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there's so many different points that I got from this opportunity to meet with the Black Lives Matter collective group. And so I'm going to go through some of the things, and then we're going to go around and give you all the last word. Um, the ability to unite, build a community. And it's very important. A sense of belonging, being seen, valued, and heard, a sense of self as a result of this collective project using Photovoice, sharing the lived experiences that you all experiences, advocacy. You are taking action now where the university are partnering with you, the stakeholders, to create protocols to bring about change, not just to put out a blurb, but let's think about what's going on in our society, not just our in the ivory towers, and a sense of hope, sense of encouragement from those in your campus, but also those who are at your in your community where you come from, because sometimes you're isolated. Sometimes you have individuals from who go into college and they forget where they come from. But it's nice when your community and your university can come together around common ground in that process. Colorism. Colorism is big in our society. And so I was able to hear it highlighted here on today. And a calling to bring about change. In the words of Van Lou Hamer, tired of being sick and tired. And so we're going to take about change. And so I just want to go around the virtual space, and we want to allow anyone to share their final words. We want to thank you all for being here on today, but any final words you have for us?
Each of you should feel free to say one little thing.
I think I have something. Just a message to the Black youth: be as vulnerable as possible. I feel like that really, really, really strengthens our community. And when we try and bury these feelings inside, it comes out in negative ways most of the time. We are only going to be able to move forward together. So get vulnerable, call a friend. We're in this together.
Thank you.
I have one final thought for researchers thinking about the genius that I think the women have shared today. I think that it's really important as researchers, if you have specific tools, to share those tools with the community and make them accessible with the community to ensure that folks whose lives are impacted by what you're researching are in charge of the research and the research process, and also in charge of deriving the solutions in your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would say that I'm thinking about Audre Lorde and her writing about like how differences are our source of like strength, our source of like the ability to create change. And something that I'm really grateful for, like in this group, is we are all Black women attending like PWIs, predominantly white universities, but it really was like our differences of experience, our differences of positionality that taught me so much about myself, about each other, about creating change like within your community, creating healing within your community. So I'm really grateful for that. Our differences really are like our source of strength. So yeah, I'm grateful to all of you. I'm so glad to see your faces today.
Yes. Anyone else as we close?
For me, I would probably say don't let your age or, societal stereotypes tell you that you can't do what you want to do in life, I would say, or you can't, don't let them tell you that you can't take that step. Like it is a lot of self-doubt, especially like, oh, I'm just a student, how can I enact this change? Or, I'm just 20 years old, how can I do this? But don't let any of that stop you from creating the change that you want to see, whether that's in your university, in your organization, in your business. I mean, Natalie was like 19 when she came up with this research project at 19 years old. So just don't let any of the societal stereotypes stop you from pursuing advocacy.
Yes.
I think just to kind of double down what Lexo mentioned there is also, sometimes being in predominantly white spaces as a Black person, you're afraid to even be noticed. So you're afraid to push back. And I think something powerful this space reminded is like when we collaborate and we work together, like we have so much power in these spaces. So, we should advocate for ourselves. We shouldn't feel like we have to accept the type of treatment we get just because we're a small number in these spaces. Because when we do bond together, we have really strong voices to create change. And that's also a shout out to like my Black academics and my Black scholars out there. I know sometimes when you're, one Black person in a PhD program or in a master's program, you feel like you don't even want people to notice you. So that we can do this when we do stand up and people will listen to us.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess just to touch on that or carry on everybody's great final words. I shouldn't have gone close to the end because now everybody said good things. But I think, yeah, kind of going off what Lexo said as well, of just like not being scared to kind of just put your foot in there and open those new doors. And even if it's an experience like the one that we did, meeting new people, and whether that can be scary, or I know for me, that sense of commitment was always scary, or, oh, am I taking on too much? Am I taking on too much on my plate? In my busy schedule? But you never know when one of those smallest decisions, whether that's answering an email to a friend, a peer, is going to completely change your life and open up your network the way that it did for me personally into this group of amazing women. So I think, again, just like not having that extra fear, kind of trusting your gut with that, especially when it comes to something that you're passionate about or something that personally might just help you and heal you. And you never really know what that long-term effect or benefit's going to be. So.
Yes.
I normally don't say anything at the very end. But
we have
bell
one.
hooks.
We have one more.
Oh, okay.
Natalie, who was the catalyst for this research project. So we want to highlight Miss Natalie.
Okay, I'll be quick. Definitely, like Khalees said, should not have waited till the end because I really just want to echo everyone. But I would really say, just like everyone said, being open to healing and open to sharing your authentic self. I think that's when I really found my sense of self and my place in the community, because I spent a lot of time really being scared of using my voice and being scared just of saying the wrong thing or not like doing things the right way, I guess. And this project just really showed me that when you show your authentic self to people, then you find the most healing that you'll ever like more healing than you can imagine. So really just be open to listening to other people and open to really trying to understand where people are coming from, because we all have such a beautiful story and such a beautiful perspective that we bring to life. So this has just been a really special way to learn about that and really get to find that healing. So I think that really all just starts, like everyone said, with being open to new experiences and to being vulnerable. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
As I started to say, I normally don't speak at the end, but as I think probably most of you know, Bell Hooks, who's an amazing human being and has done so much in helping educate us all as to what transformative education and how to really live an integrous, transformative life has just passed. And she passed 2 days ago. And she would be very proud to have heard this group because you all are carrying on her legacy in a wonderful, wonderful way.
Yes. Thank you all for coming and speaking to Macro Social Work Stories. Looking forward to hearing what's next for you. And we will see you next time in our next video. Thank you.